Hello guys, you alright? Red Pill Phil. Hope you liked, subscribed and resonating with the videos. I had a link sent from a fellow subber not so long back, and it's been on my head ever since how to try and cover it, and if I could cover it, and if I'd done it justice, because it's quite a controversial topic to talk about. And then it's just a case of, you know what, I'm just doing it, I'm just saying it as I see it, and that's all I can do really, say it in as fair a manner as I can. So, with that, I'm going to read a couple of quotes. Abolish the white race as a social group. That was by Derek Bell, Harvard Law School professor. We have to exterminate white people off the face of the planet. That was Camus Cambon, professor of African American Studies. Two black guys that in a considerable amount of influence and power within the teaching establishment, you could say. The very thought of me as an individual, regardless of my skin colour, thinking that two professors that could possibly be teaching my children as an adult, you know, the mind boggles how they're allowed to have that opinion and promote it. Not to say I'm not all for freedom of speech. I don't mind. They can say that in a sense. But then when these very people profess that in everything they probably say and teach, that's a different matter. Now, these two are black guys. There'll be other comments coming up from different people. But these guys, from the looks of the pair of them, they're of an age when they can remember what was going on, particularly in America, in the days of segregation. And they'll no doubt hear all the stories of slavery, plantations, all the terrible things that have happened. So for them to have the attitude where the best way to solve this is just to exterminate the colour of the people who were responsible of this, every man, woman and child, is pretty sick when you think about it. Not giving anyone a pass here, it's not about that. If the shoe was on the other foot, i.e. if these were two white professors that had the same position, the same influence, and they were saying the same things on a public forum, whether they're in books or whether they're in speeches talking about this, professing about black people, having them exterminated and abolish the black race as a social group, which this would have been the tone a long, long time ago. And to a degree, some people probably will harbour them feelings. I'm not totally naive. But that's not the issue. The issue is we do live in a more tolerant society than we have ever lived in. So I don't get why these two, when they're in a position of influence, why they're turning round and having such an extreme view and being in a position where they could teach kids and are teaching kids and young adults that are growing in society, when they know what it was like, or they've got a sense of what it was like back then that the only way, and this is even more ridiculous, me entertaining this, unless you done a census around the white populated countries of the globe, and every one of those members, citizens in all of them countries filled out this census that was asking a simple question: do you want to eradicate black people from the face of this planet? Even if all that come 100% back, yes, oh Jesus, everyone said it. Still to have that attitude, what they've got, I still would think that, whew. Because I don't think that having that attitude is going to help anybody, and particularly not going to help the younger generation that are growing up in this polarised world that we're living in. To harbour that amount of hatred where that is the only conclusion that would appease you, that is pretty bad. That is along the lines of ISIS and radical Islam. That is just as extreme to have them attitudes. And I know what's happened in the past. There's been a lot of situations where other races have done absolutely terrible things. It seems to be something that civilization we tend to do to one another, and we have been doing since documented fact. There's been wars, there's been exploitation, there's been killing, there's been debauchery, there's been everything over history, and different civilizations have targeted other civilizations and done terrible things. Now people can go, oh well, it's not a pissing contest, in a sense that it's not a question of, well, who's done the most, and he's guilty, and I can't look at it like that. I'm just looking at it in a common sense mentality, thinking that if you are going to have that attitude, then at least be fair and say of all the other disparaging things that have gone on throughout the world over the hundreds of years, all the other civilizations that have had slaves, and in some countries, some Islamic countries still are. So let's talk about that. It just doesn't make sense to just target on an event that happened otherwise. Why the Germans? Why is no one writing books or leaving statements saying let's eradicate every German off the planet because of what supposedly happened at the Holocaust, because of their supposed role in it? It's past it. In order to get a decent future, you've got to teach your young, at least honestly, if nothing else, and teaching them narratives rather than actual facts, and not relaying the facts in an honest, fair fashion, is dangerous. And when you've got people doing that and having them ideals, same again, I wouldn't want anyone to have the ideal that all black people want to be eradicated. It's just a common sense thing. I'm not speaking with any colour here. I'm just speaking as a common sense, as if I've just took myself out of humanity and just gone, well, why are you doing, why are you? It just seems daft. Here's another quote. The key to solving the social problems of our age is to abolish the white race. The goal of abolishing the white race is on its face so desirable that some may find it hard to believe that it could incur any opposition other than from committed white supremacists. So if you've got any opposition to what you just said there, you're a white supremacist. I've got opposition to it just on the fact that you can't do that. You can't have them thoughts at all. We're supposed to be changing. You're in a position as a professor where you're supposed to be changing for the good. Not saying, well, this negative will make it positive there, because that is absolutely crazy. We'll keep bashing the dead white males and the live ones and the females too until the social construct known as the white race is destroyed, not destructed, but destroyed. Not deconstructed, but destroyed. Treason to the white race is loyalty to humanity. Wow. And that was Noel Ignative, Harvard professor. And that's an American white guy. Another one. The white race is the cancer on humanity and history. Susan Sontag, writer, filmmaker, teacher and political activist. So, seen a little bit of what she's done. She's probably been in all kinds of scenarios all around the world. Documented it, written books about it, and obviously got severe feelings. But that is still such a general sweeping statement going back that what I've gone through as a young child, as a young adult, and still on the odd occasion to this moment today, you can't then flip that and think everything's all right because everything I'm going through is because of that skin colours problem, what they've projected on the earth. You cannot blame everyone in society for what a mentality has done. An elitist mentality that has exploited all over the world, that has done all kinds of nasty things to all types of people all over the world. But then other civilizations have done that as well. The Spanish, 1519, 1520, Cortez and his merry men, with something like 600 men, something like 20 horses and 20 guns, managed in less than 18 months take over the Aztec Empire with Christianity in mind, because he regarded them as a load of heathens that needed to reform. Now what they were doing is whatever they were doing, you know, they want the sweetest people that you could ever meet from what documented evidence shows, but Jesus, what Cortez done is a different matter. Now, do the Mexicans, who are now a lot of South American countries are Spanish speaking, that being one of many events, no doubt, that has occurred that's made that happen. Do the Mexicans then look at the Spanish and go, well, we need to get it out on all the media and keep bashing the Spanish with the narrative that they're oppressed us for what's happened over the... No, they don't. It's just part of history. And I'm not saying there's anyone's a great guy here. No, I'm just saying common sense. If you're going to relay the nasty shit that goes on in history, do it fairly. And then let's move on rather than going, aha, right, and the winner is... Because that's not going to help humanity. That's going to make it worse because you're creating division. Now, there are 2 white people that have had them comments and 2 black people. The bigger question is, why are these guys being given a forum? That is the bigger question. To be allowed to propagate this shit. If it was going the other way, anyone, and quite rightly so, would be slammed down for saying it. So, as a human being, just saying that this, you could, for me, it feels like the markings of cultural Marxism, just totally to rip the carpet up. We have got to eliminate the gringo. And what I mean by that is, if the worst comes to the worst, we have got to kill him. Jose Angel Gutierrez, activist, attorney and university professor. Now, he sounds South American, so why aren't he having this with the Spanish? Same again. I'm not saying he should. I'm not saying every Spanish person now needs to be. I'm not. I'm just saying let's bring the Portuguese. They've not been pretty over eons with the slave trade and what their role has been, but no one says now. So I'm not saying, oh, well, the white people, it's not about that. It's just about a common sense thing. So you can see an agenda, for me, whether people want to attribute that, but you can see an agenda. Two wrongs don't make a right. And I'm not saying let's all sing Kumbaya either. There are issues that need talking about, but at the same time, you can see why that's creating a divide and conquer effect. It's just pitting one off the other. It's stupidness. They're all educated people, so they all know individually, you know what, the world would be a better place if we did, if we did. But no, we'll say shit like that because that's going to make the world a better place. And this last one, the man of the future will be a mongrel. Today's races and classes will disappear, owing to the disappearing of space, time and prejudice. The Euro-Asian Negroid race of the future, similar in its outward appearance to the ancient Egyptians, will replace the diversity of peoples with a diversity of individuals. Richard Nicholas von Coudenhove Kalergi, Austrian politician, philosopher and Count of Coudenhove-Kalergi, considered the father of the modern European Union. So I wonder whether that has got anything. Now, people have asked me that time and time again. What do you think of the Kalergi plan? And it's hard to actually go, well, no, I think it's because I haven't got the proof. I'm a painter, a decorator. But when you hear that, and the trigger word for me would be considered the father of the modern European Union. Now, the EU at the moment, the way they get involved with bringing immigrants in, it questions whether it's actually organic or whether it was a plan. I don't know. I'm not qualified enough to say either way. I'm just saying that makes a bit more sense with the insanity of the migrant crisis we've got going on around Europe and around the world, into all kinds of countries that were indigenous and they already accepted immigrants. But the way it's done now and the numbers it's done now, you can't make sense of that. It's irrational. The fact that you're not vetting, it's irrational. The fact that you're getting all types of social issues going on within your environment and not questioning it, and then anyone who does criticise it, they are deemed a racist. It's irrational. So the way it's been forced upon people, rammed down the throat, and as a tactic of political correctness, anyone says this, that'll happen, this'll happen, the constant demonisation, two-tiered with the demonisation constantly of a certain race of people, which happen to be paler in complexion, it does make you think. Like I say, I'm not qualified to say that is definitely it, but I will say this. If someone was to put that last quote to me, and then someone was to explain all the illogical shit that's going on with the migrant flow and the social issues that's going on and the censorship that's going on and the political correctness that's going on, I would find it hard to disagree with a man that says, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if this Kalergi thing's got some. I'd find it hard to disagree with it, but I can't say that that is the ultimate plan, but it sounds uncanny, let's put it that way. So this is Web Pearl Phil, just chatting about a couple of links that have been sent that's just got me thinking. And like I say, there will be a lot of white supremacists that over the years that have written books, that have joined organisations, that have said just as nasty things and done just as nasty things to the black population. So it's not about it's just about being fair over space and time. If we're going to do it, let's demonise everyone else that's done everything bad, and then we can all make an informed decision if anyone's going to get sent to the doghouse. But this seems a little bit contrived, bit phony for me, if I'm going to be honest. So I can see certain elements which I can't deny. Now, that is controversial to say that. Who knows what's going to happen in the comment section after doing a video like this, but it was on my head. I thought, if anything, I've just got to speak my mind and say how I feel. So I hope you liked. This is Red Pill Phil. I'd like to give a big thank you to A. McCormack and A. Hackett, again, for putting into the PayPal. Thank you very much, guys. You're both stars. Anyone else who'd like to put in, it's paypal.me at redpillphil. Paypal.me at redpillphil1. Okay, get it out right. And yeah, the matches will be coming up. I'll be doing a video coming up very soon in regards to the next match, which will be in Newcastle. Veterans Against Terrorism. Can't wait for that on Feb the 17th, but I'll be doing a video before that. But this was just something that was very thought-provoking, and I don't know what the response is going to be like, but there you go, it's out there. That's Red Pill Phil's stumbling opinion on the whole matter. If you're going to teach your kids, teach them fair, and hating to the point where you want a certain race to be eradicated off the planet, I don't think is the right attitude for anyone in a position of learning. Full stop. So there you go. That's Red Pill Phil's 10 pence. You take care, guys. Look after yourselves. Hope you keep resonating. And I love you all, even the pissing haters. See you later.